voiceovers. Let's get the show on the road. First off, I just want to say, all English viewers, please hold. We do the intro in Spanish and then we kick it from there. Hace tiempo que no decía eso. Hola a todos, ¿cómo están? Soy Pablo de la GEMA. Bienvenidos al podcast de la GEMA, episodio 78. Leyendo de Hennessys, bebiendo Hennessy, man. ¿Cómo están? ¿Cómo se están pasando? Ahí está el chat si quieren platicar. Yo sé que la banda vino hoy por el show. Hoy tenemos a Dr. C, a Sheridan de MIOM, Teo de Hennessys, Teo de múltiples eventos. Hoy, vaya, tenemos tiempo limitado, tenemos una persona muy ocupada acá. Entonces, pues quiero hacer esto muy en corto para poder entrevistarlo en cortinas al homie. Saludos a todos, ¿cómo están? ¿Cómo se están pasando? Ahí está el chat para todo su feedback, para ver si el audio está bien, si el video está chido, el audio, todo ese tipo de detalles. Antes de empezar nuestra querida entrevista con el buen Sheridan. ¿Cómo están? Estamos aquí. Yo transmitiendo en vivo desde Ciudad de México. Y pues bueno, como este es un invitado americano, saben que tenemos que hablar en inglés. Así que les digo a todos, salud, hola y adiós. Voy a hablar en inglés ahora. Hello everybody, what is up? Welcome, I am Pablo from La Gema. Welcome to the Gema's channel. This is our podcast, episode 78. This is a podcast that helps showcase more about the Smash community and general developments in gaming and gaming communities to the Mexican and Latin American audience. We are known for Smash tournaments. We also do a lot of other stuff. We have other previous guests. We've done a bunch of stuff, so you can check that out. Actually, you can check us out on YouTube, so I'll put that command over there. Today we're going to be interviewing Dr. C to help showcase more about Hennessys and his CEO knowledge to the Mexican and Latin American community, so they can get a lot of feedback, know what they can do to improve, what they can do best. So if you guys have any questions for Dr. C, do let us know because we'll be sharing them with them. I will be calling him in 2 minutes approximately, so for sure, definitely check that out. Also, any feedback regarding the stream, regarding the audio, regarding the video, if everything's good, if everything's bad, do let us know because that helps optimize your viewing experience. So do let us know for sure. So yeah, like I said, Spanish podcast for Mexico and Latin America. We're gonna have Dr. C and we're gonna talk about Smash. We're gonna talk about Hennessys, about TOing, about a lot of different stuff. So definitely check it out. And if you guys like this, so for sure, if you follow, we have alerts so you can get your name up there. If you're into that kind of sort of stuff. But anyways, I think we're about to kick it off. Just 1 minute left, 6:05. That's when we start. That's when I told Sheridan I would call him. So yeah. Sobres, banda, si tienen preguntas en el chat, ahí vamos a estar, no se preocupen, yo las traduzco por ustedes, no hay falla. ¿Cómo están todos? Ahí cualquier cosa ahí nos pueden poner un mensaje. Y bueno, vamos a marcarle a Sheridan. Hello? Hey Sheridan, how are you, man?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Por supuesto, y hola a todos los Smashers hispanohablantes y espero que todos ustedes pueden y quieren asistir a Genesis 5.
Fuego. Así es. Muy bien, Sheridan. Muy bien. That was great, man. Okay, great. So Sheridan, man, that was a great intro. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time. We have a lot of people watching. A lot of people definitely are interested in hearing what you have to say and what you can tell us about Genesis 5 so far. But sure. Before we begin, with the questions and with the nitty-gritty, there may be some people here that don't really know much about you or who you are. So if you could talk a little bit about yourself so people can get a general idea.
Yeah, so I got Melee almost on release day. I got it for Christmas in 2001. I went to my first tournament in 2004, and I've been running tournaments in NorCal since about 2007. So basically, any regional you've been to in NorCal for Melee, I ran that, and I started my big tournament career really with Genesis 1 in 2009. And ever since then, I've been like one of the top people at Genesis for planning, logistics, programming, all the stuff like that. So you need big decisions made for Genesis. I'm the guy.
All right, all right. I think that's a good idea overall for the people. So you've basically been ever since things kicked off, right? Like when you got your first copy of Melee, you started running tournaments, and ever since then you've been here so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's a pretty extensive background. So let me know what was the thing that made you decide to, okay, I should step up and start organizing, writing up the people, and intervening in events.
Yeah, so really it's because I didn't like the way that tournaments were being run
The classic.
when I was playing in NorCal. Actually, NorCal had a pretty bad reputation for Smash tournaments up through like 2006. We had a couple tournaments that just kind of failed or like, went to 4 a.m. That used people don't remember, but this used to be like the normal thing is like people would say the tournament ends at midnight and then it would just go to like 3 or 4 a.m. And I didn't like that, so I started stepping up and running locals and then eventually putting together regionals.
All right, okay. So what would you say was your very first event, like the first one you organized, and when was it?
The first one I ran,
Yeah.
so it was just like a San Jose biweekly. We used to have tournaments at San Jose State like once every 2 weeks. And I asked the people there, like, can I try my hand at running this tournament? Because I think I have some cool ideas to make it go faster. Maybe some cool like ideas for different formats. So yeah, from that point on, it went really well. And every other week I would come over and run the bracket and come up with some cool ideas. Like we did like Swiss tournaments. We did all sorts of like crazy formats. So, and I had a lot of fun putting together events, and eventually that morphed into wanting to do something amazing with Genesis in 2009.
Okay, that's a good leeway to my next question. What would you say was that motivated you to give Genesis birth? Like for example, you mentioned the image of NorCal back in the day. So would you say it was inspired by that, or what motivated Genesis exactly to come about?
Well, Genesis was actually not, it was not my idea. It was the rest of the DVR crew. So Bobak, Herman, they're the guys who came up with the idea for Genesis in the first place. And we just wanted to have like a really good tournament for both Melee and Brawl. Like, we looked around and we didn't see that there were a lot of like really legit tournaments, especially for Melee because at that point, Melee was on the MLG circuit in 2006.
Yeah.
And then it got dropped, and eventually Brawl got picked up for that. And that was great for them. But Melee, it started struggling in 2008, but we realized it's starting to come back in 2009. And we weren't sure what was going to happen with Brawl in 2009 with MLG. So, we thought we got to do, there's room for a really big Smash event that brings together Melee and Brawl. And it'd been forever since there was like a major tournament in California. And, we were just a bunch of homies and we all loved tournaments. So we just wanted to make something happen.
Okay, that's a pretty cool story. So now that Genesis has almost 5 entries now, things are more defined, more formalized. What is your duty or what is your role in the Genesis tournament, in the event itself?
I do a lot. I have a hand in almost anything, except for like graphic design and branding. I have Bobak and his people, all his people handle that stuff. But like, I do the Smash GG page. I like design the event. I design the layout. Of course, I have help on all these, but come up with the bracket format, try to research what the right pricing is, try to figure out what games we want, try to figure out what kind of sponsors we can get. So, I have plenty of people who, do a lot of the hard work for sponsorships and layouts and everything too. But ultimately, like, I'm making sure that we make the correct decision for all of those like moving parts of Genesis.
Okay, all right. That sounds like a good idea of the role. So, parallel to your work as Genesis in Genesis as an organizer, you also have a physics degree, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I got my degree from UC Santa Cruz. I actually started playing Smash around the same time that I got into grad school. So I studied astrophysics at UC Santa Cruz, and I eventually got my PhD in 2013.
Okay, yeah, and that helped leeway into what is now your position in Smash GG, right?
Yeah, so my research was about dark matter, and it was using data from a gamma ray telescope. So basically, like the data that I had to work with was just like a list of 2 billion photons and like all of their properties that this telescope had observed. And actually, a lot of astrophysicists go into data science afterwards because a big skill that you need in data science is to be able to take just a huge amount of data and find the right way to reduce it and find out, hey, there's some interesting feature right here that's going on. This is something that we can look at. So that, like, what I was doing for the dark matter project was basically trying to find, can I look through all these 2 billion photons and find dark matter in there?
Okay.
And so now at Smash GG, we have a huge amount of data too for as far as like sets being played or people register for tournaments. So I'm helping, trying to help Smash GG figure out ways that they can improve their platform, or also ways that we can help the Smash community, like using all the data that we have on Smash GG.
Okay, that sounds good. So, now do tell me. Actually, quick parenthesis before we continue. I think I heard this before because I used to be a keen watcher of the Foundry back in the day. So those couch conversations could go about. I think I heard that before from you. So yeah. Okay, so now, what would you say is the factor or key factors that help you transition from what you were doing with your physics work into having a position or doing something within gaming, esports, and whatnot?
Yeah. So actually, when I was about to graduate, I was applying to postdoc programs, and I was applying to data science programs.
Yeah.
And I just kept applying. It took me actually a while to get something, so I just took the first thing I got, which was there's a specific training program that's for people who want to become data scientists, but just got their PhD in some kind of science. So this was called the Insight Data Science Program. So they're looking for people exactly like me. I applied and got in on my third try, and it was like a 2 or 3 month crash course just in data science, in a couple ideas of programming, machine learning. And then they set me up. They helped me find a job after that. That was like the big appeal of this program, is that they have a 100% job placement rate. So eventually after the program, I began working for a company called Vantage Sports. And actually what I was doing there was getting data from League of Legends matches and trying to do like analytics on the games. Like if I could pick out strategies from the data that showed that this was effective, or any kind of metric like where are people laning, where are people placing their wards, and trying to correlate that to some kind of success.
Okay.
Yeah, and then eventually we left that job at the beginning of this year, actually, and I guess that was impressive enough to the powers that be at Smash GG, because eventually I came over, and I always had a good relationship with Smash GG here in NorCal since the beginning. We helped them start their platform, figure out like what tournament organizer needs were. So I've been familiar with them for a long time, and just one day I came over, and we were just talking about data, and eventually they just called me and said, we need somebody to do analytics for Smash GG, and maybe you can be the guy. And so they hired me before Evo, and apparently I've done a pretty good job, because now I'm working for them full time. So it was just grinding away at whatever work was in front of me, and grinding away at job applications, and finding a job it's really frustrating and annoying sometimes. But yeah, all I can say is just that you have to be passionate about what you want to do and just be on that grind.
Okay, okay. I've interviewed a fair share of tournament organizers and people within, the industry, whatnot. And one common theme that always lingers is the grind aspect. It is a grind. So
Yeah,
coming that from you, I guess that helps resonate that even further. So,
yeah.
yeah. Okay, now, there are some more questions that will come about this, about leveraging positions or what you've been studying for to get a job within the industry. But I'll take that for later on. Right now, I would like to touch on Genesis 5. Sheridan, I know a lot of people here in Mexico and Latin America are saving up money, are getting ready for Genesis 5. So what can you tell us, or what can people expect right now, as of now, for what they can wait for in the event?
So all we've announced right now is just Melee and Wii U and Rivals of Ether. We're going to announce some more games soon, and I hope people will be excited by them. We're also trying to figure out what kind of side events we can run there. And one of our goals this year is we really want to make sure that we provide a good experience like the whole weekend for everybody. 25% of the people who go to Genesis, they're going to lose 2 sets and then they're going to be done for the weekend. Those people need to get their $70 worth of their attendance at Genesis and their money that they're paying for their hotel and their flights out. We got to have something for them to do. And so, yeah, I hope that when you come, and we'll be able to announce things not too far away from now, but I think we'll have some fun stuff for everybody to do at G5. I also want to mention that, I realized that G4 was pretty expensive for a lot of people. Hotels were $200 a night. San Jose is not always the cheapest place to fly into. It was in a really nice area, so the food nearby was expensive. In Oakland, the hotel is just as nice, and it's going to be $140 a night. So right away, your trip just got at least like $100 cheaper, depending on how many people you split your hotel with. There's a lot more food options around, and in fact, like you can, the pricing options for the Saturday or for this top 8 on Sunday, we have a $40 option instead of a $50 one now as well. So I think it's going to be easier for everybody to come to Genesis and feel like they are getting their money's worth out of the event. And I really want to stress how great I think the top 8 venue is going to be this year. We got more seats than we did last year. It's in this crazy nice theater in downtown Oakland. It's going to be beautiful, and I hope that everybody thinks that it's worth it to come see that, and I hope we can sell out for that because it looks fantastic, and I think we're going to put on a really good show.
Okay, that sounds exciting. So definitely, all people interested in going to Genesis, all the people internationally, definitely look that up. It's exciting to hear that it got cheaper, so that's cool. That's good news. All right, so okay, Sheridan. Right now, I would like to pass on to the questions part of the interview. We're streaming this live on Twitch, so there might be people in the chat that are interested in asking some questions themselves. I have a couple ones lined up in case some begin to pop up. If you would just allow me a brief second, just to say it in Spanish to the people that might be, interested in questions. Van en el chat, si hay preguntas, es el momento ahora. Aquí está Sheridan para responderlas y aquí lo tenemos todavía. I would love for Sheridan to answer in Spanish, but I don't think your expertise goes that further in that field, right?
It depends on the question.
All right. Okay, so you mentioned the percentages of the people that go O2 in bracket in Genesis. So I would like to ask a question. It might be kind of a hot potato. Feel free to answer as you wish. But for example, I previously had on 64TO David Shears talking about the Waterford tournament. So has the Genesis team looked into the Waterford tournament idea? What are their thoughts on it?
We haven't looked into it deeply yet. I'm definitely not opposed to it. My only thing about trying out new things like that is I want to do it at like a regional size first. So I would love to try it out at a Melee regional in NorCal. It's just a little hard to convince me that we can go without testing it from like the scale of a 64 tournament. I know they've had big 64 water polo tournaments, like 200 people. To go from that scale to Genesis. I hope in the future that's something that is like can become a standard, perhaps even if it works out and well in testing. But yeah, I mean, I'm always looking for new ideas about formats that help people get the most value out of their attendance.
Okay, okay, that's interesting. So now I have another question lined up. This one is actually interesting because it comes from not a concern, but rather an inquiry by Latin American communities in general. You know, not only are you part of Genesis staff, also part of Smash GG, but you're also part of the rule set committee for Melee, right? So with UCF and all of these new rules coming on about, you know, in how Melee is played nowadays. Here in Latin America, for example, you know, you don't see a big push for UCF yet still. You don't see a push for, you know, all of these rules that are becoming the norm in the United States. So for our Latin American audiences, would you kind of like give a brief opinion of yours on why UCF should be go about? Like, are you against it? Do you oppose it? Do you feel it's something that it's worth or pertinent given the current situation of controllers and whatnot?
Right. So presently, I personally, this is just speaking personally, I'm not making any claim about what's going to happen to Genesis.
Yeah.
I'm slightly leaning towards accepting UCF. And my major qualm with UCF, my major problem with it is that it actually goes into the game and changes the definition of what a dashback is in Melee. And to me, like, that opens like a Pandora's box, like it, or it could. I don't know if it will, but it could. You know, once you get into the business of changing the actual game of Melee, I just worry about what other things we're going to be allowed to do or we're going to be asked to do, because I don't feel like it's that different from saying, let's make the L cancel window a little bigger, or let's like find a way to remove wobbling. And so I just worry that UCF opens the door for that. That being said, the controller problem is pretty bad for some people, and you know, it actually affects their tournament experience. Sometimes it even affects whether they want to participate in the tournament or not. And that's a problem that like affects the community, and that's a problem that we have to solve. And I don't know if UCF is the best way to do it, but it does go a long way towards solving the controller issues. And for me, it's just a balance of how big is the controller problem versus how big of a change are we making to Melee in order to solve that. And right now, my feeling is that the controller problem is bad enough, and the change that we're making is small enough that it's probably worth it to do it. But I don't feel like the discussion is over. And I want everybody to understand what we're doing with UCF and the fact that it does change Melee, and that it opens the door for doing that in other ways that people might not agree with.
Okay, all right. All right, we have still a couple of more questions lined up, but I want to ask Sheridan, how much time do you have left for us to spare?
At least 15 minutes, I think.
Okay, all right, sounds good. So continuing on with this conversation about UCF, a common argument that has been heard, at least when talking with people about this here in Mexico, is about so, for example, UCF is implemented. So what happens afterwards? Like all of those sets that played in the years before, you've got your Ken versus Bob Soldier, you've got your Big House 1 through 5, 6.
Yeah.
What happens with all of that when UCF becomes the norm? What's the validity in what happened before?
I don't think they become any less valid. I mean, if you look at major sports, like they change rules every year. Football, soccer, hockey, they all change rules every year. And I don't think people in general think that the results from the past are less valid. I know the one thing I have heard is that in the 90s, like the rule about defense in basketball used to be a lot different, and it's much more restricted now compared to what it used to be. And so people argue that like people like Kobe Bryant, for example, would have been even better than Jordan, like statistics wise, if the rules about defense had been different. I really don't think UCF is even close to as big of a change of that to make us think about like, is one player better in this year compared to past years, or is like, does this tournament not mean anything more because of UCF? Because like in reality, like the fact that you missed a backdash, like what is that worth? Like in the grand scheme of things in a game, like that, maybe that's worth like a quarter of a stock. I don't know. Not to say that games don't come down to backdashes, but I don't think it's such a big change that it makes you reconsider the past.
Okay, all right. That's a valid argument as well. Okay, moving further, you talked about applying your knowledge, what you studied about for acquiring a job, grinding and all whatnot. So let me know, Sheridan, what other tips could you give to the people in Mexico and Latin America where the scene is just in development, it's growing, more chains are opening up. So what would you say, with all of your expertise about what can they keep in mind, any tips, any advice to continue on growing and developing here in the scene?
Yeah, it's hard to give general advice about esports because it's still growing. Like, when I went to college, when I went to grad school to study physics, I had zero idea that esports was going to exist like this.
Yeah, I get it.
Now it's like, it's maybe just starting where it's like a thing you can go to college for. Otherwise, like right now, it's just, I kind of feel like I just got lucky. I was in the right place at the right time with the right skills. But I do feel that a big reason that I was able to become like this successful is I always try to maintain good relationships with everybody. I think that's one of the hardest parts of being a TO actually, is that you have to stay on good terms with literally everybody. Like you cannot have enemies.
Yeah.
And every shitlord that tries to come at me with like a complaint that is not our fault or even was their own fault, or they just don't know what they're talking about, I have to be, I can't be rude to them. I have to say, I think you're incorrect here because of this. I can't take their rudeness and use it against them. I can't come back at them with that. And I can't come back and be indignant towards people who disagree with my decisions. That's one of the hardest parts just about having grown to where I am in the scene, is trying to get along with everybody.
Yeah.
Aside from that is you just really have to love what you're doing and the people around you. And the fact that Melee is like an amazing, like if I didn't like Melee, like I obviously wouldn't be here. But the fact that Melee is such an amazing game, like just makes me want to be with everybody in the scene all the time and just like experience Melee over and over with them. And and even running tournaments is fun. I love watching like all the people come in to grab their pool sheets and go out and start running the pools and calling their matches and just watching that beautiful machine run. So you just have to love what you do and love what you want to do, and just have those connections. And if you love what you do and you go out and you try to do your best to help people, eventually you'll make the connections that help you get to where you want to be.
Yeah. As a fellow TO, I heavily empathize with those last sentences. So yeah, those are wise words. That's some knowledge. I would like to let the people in chat know we still have some time for questions. If you guys have any questions, I see people in the chat. Hello there. Hello. So now, Sheridan, going a bit into the TO side, the same question as before, but just not in esports general, but what advice can you give to TOs? Maybe some hidden tech that you in all of your years have come to acquire or have come to know. Any info like that? Any advice such as that?
Yeah, and like I mentioned, you have to maintain good relationships with everybody. An important part of that is just being honest as much as you can, and you are the hardest person to fool. I mean, you're the easiest person to fool. Like fooling yourself is easier than fooling other people. and it's the most dangerous kind of dishonesty. And nobody's perfect at that, but it's something that we always try to work towards. You always have to be listening to the people who come and talk to you about your event and what they liked and what they didn't like about it. You have to be honest about whether an idea that you had was a good or bad idea based on what happened. And you just have to be responsible, and you have to make sure that if you feel like you can't do something, you need to be able to ask for help. You need to have good relationships with your friends in the community who have things that they can help out with. Like maybe maybe you need to get a stream set up. Maybe you don't know how to run brackets really well, but you just want to host an event and enable people to run events there. You have to make sure that you manage your time wisely and you ask for the help that you need. I think for me, the hardest thing about growing as a TO and just like as a tournament series, I don't know how it is in Mexico, but in California, it's really difficult to find a good venue that's cheap. Everything is very expensive here to rent. So it's hard to maintain, it's hard to keep a good tournament series going. Yeah. And I think just providing stability to your community is the best way to help grow it.
Yeah. A similar situation comes about here in Mexico, it's not that they are exorbitantly expensive, but you have to hustle a little more, to get a cool event going on about here in Mexico. But slowly things are changing, so that's the bright side of it. Okay, I must say, Sheridan, that those last answers from you, not only am I taking notes from that, I'm sure most of the people in the chat are. So we're close to wrapping this up, but my man, I can't let you go without hitting you up with this question right here. I think you know where I'm going with this one. So I saw that tweet the other day, Big House, going on about there, and I see something about not safe for work stuff, 18 plus. Hentai, that's where I'm going, man. Yeah. So hentai is per your words, per your tweets. I actually think I have this up. I'm gonna try and see if I can put it up in the screen. So it's the very superior form of not safe for work material or whatever you want to call it. So why is that, man? I must say that I agree with you, but I would really like to know your reasoning behind that.
Because the pornography industry can be very exploitative now these days, in the early days too. In fact, David Simon, who is the creator of The Wire, has just come out with a new series which is about the pornography industry in New York starting in the early 70s. And if you watch that, you can see how exploitative it can be for the performers, especially women, in these films, in these movies. And with hentai, the beauty is that you are not exploiting anybody. You are drawing pixels on a screen or lines on a paper, and you are not exploiting anybody directly. In order to create that, nobody had to suffer. Nobody had to sign something saying, it's okay with you to do this to me. That's not to say hentai is completely perfect either way, because you could still, some hentai could still normalize like certain like ideas about how we view and treat women, or just people in general, with that kind of pornography. So I don't want to give you the picture that there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. We still have to be responsible, but it's a great invention that helps us lead a more moral way of relieving tension.
Yeah. I heavily agree with that. So for all the 2D fan watching out there, you got your take. Like I said, Sheridan, I agree with what you said, but people just want that knowledge, man. People know you got the knowledge, so we had to share it. Okay. Yeah,
exactly. And I respect all the 2D fans out there, but you can't disparage 3D either. Like I think it's important to have a balance in your life.
Yeah. Oh man, that's actually pretty good that you mentioned that. A lot of people really forget that. They get stuck in the plane.
Right.
Okay. So all right. We got a few more questions here in the chat. Moving on to more safe for work topics. Are there any plans? This from Other Tragedy, a guy from Mexico, a fellow chat user. Are there any plans to take Genesis to another place like Evo will do with Evo Japan?
We've definitely thought about it. It's really difficult to actually, because we need to be at the point where Genesis takes a lot of work. I have a full-time job now, and there's times where I have to work on Genesis, when I get home from a long day at work, and so I can get all my actual work done. And in order to do 2 Genesises a year, do one in another country, that's almost double the work. Or if I don't want to do the work, I have to pay somebody to do that work for me. And so to get there, I need time or I need money or some combination of that. I would love to be able to provide like a great Genesis experience for people more easily all over the world. It's just a matter of whether we can be as successful as we want with like our Genesis series in California. That's going to determine whether it's a good move for us to expand.
Okay, all right, I see. But technically, there have already been 2 Genesis in a year, right? You got your Genesis Red.
That's true.
See, so what would you say is where the brand is going nowadays? You've got the main series, the numbered one, Genesis 1 through 5. But are there any other forays that the brand is going into?
Well, we have the double circuit fuse, which I think went pretty well last season. Unfortunately, the stream quality was not so good for the finals, but it was a really fun event. The finals, like everybody that came had fun. I think people enjoyed like watching their their standings change over the course of the year. And right now we're doing the Fuse series for both and Melee right now, and it'll conclude at Pat's house at the beginning of December. And we're still working on. We're even going to have like more prizes for the people who got like top 16, so that it brings more people into wanting to have static teammates like over the course of half a year. But more importantly, like we want Genesis to be felt as like just that amazing experience that you have coming to a national that like brings up Smash to the prestige that it should have just like in the greater gaming community. Like I don't mind telling you, like Genesis 3, we lost a lot of money running Genesis 3, in part because like we made our venue fees way too low, but we were okay with that because we knew we were investing in the community, and it was just amazing to be able to provide like that experience of watching a Smash tournament in the theater for a first time. I think it made everybody feel like Smash was really big, and it was like it made it to like a new level. And I just want, like, a big goal we have with Genesis is to make people feel that way about Smash all the time.
When you put it in those terms, I can see what you mean with the investment side, because I guess that pay dividends right now here in G4 and coming up with G5, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we're going through all the questions really in chat, but if there's any last, here's the last chance, guys. Últimas preguntas para Sheridan. Van in the chat. Go. Sheridan. So before we wait for that, see if anything else comes up. Any last words you would like to give the people here watching this? Any shout outs, or if you would like to go again with the Spanish speech, you're free to go ahead, man. But the space is yours, man.
Okay. Una vez más, gracias para mirar este stream y escuchar mis respuestas de tus preguntas, y espero que ustedes how do you say to feel?
Sientan.
Que ustedes sientan que Genesis va a ser un gran torneo, y que quieren asistirla y es muy difícil.
Estás
I
genial,
hope everybody
brother.
will have fun.
Estás genial. Ok, ok. Well, ahí lo tienen, banda. Vayan a Genesis 5. Vayan a Genesis 5. Va a estar bueno, va a estar muy bueno. Sheridan, anything else you would like to know the people in Mexico? You know, you've got a lot of fans of the series over there. You got a lot of fans of Melody, of all the content that you guys do. We look up to you guys a lot. So if you have any other question, any other comments or whatever, feel free to say.
I just want to let people know that they can always, like, one thing that I try to work on is being available to everybody in the Smash community who wants to ask questions or has like concerns about Genesis or about the community at large in general. So anybody, my DMs on Twitter are always open for everybody. So if you have any concerns, any questions, you can always talk to me, and I'll be happy to answer you and talk to you, give you any advice as much as you want. So I hope to hear from you guys, and I wish the Latin American scene, the best success. I know you guys have, you and people, and I have confidence that you guys will help the scene grow.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. And those are great words. All the people watching, what he says is true. Like, for example, I just hit him up one day. I had a question about TOing, about rulings if a player was disqualified, if he got paid or whatnot. And then I asked him if he wanted to come on, and he said yes. So I really appreciate the opportunity, but the chance to talk with you, Sheridan. Muchas gracias, Sheridan. Te lo agradezco. Gracias por tu tiempo. ¿Sí? ¿Algo más?
No tengo más.
Ok, muchas gracias, que estés bien, muchos saludos y hablamos pronto. Nos vemos en Genesis 5.
Bueno, que tenga buen día.
Igualmente, chao. Thanks a lot, Sheridan, gracias.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks again. I'll talk to you later.
I'm hanging up, I'm still on stream. Alright, thanks. Okay. ¡Woo! Ahí lo tienen, banda. Ahí también tienen lo del Summit, si lo quieren ver. Wow, ¿cómo vio esta entrevista? Thanks everybody for watching. I know there's a lot of international viewers over here. I would like to thank the Crimson Blur himself who's watching this stream. It's an honor, my man. Thank you a lot. Can't knock the hustle. I'm out here. When are we getting you on, Blur? Come on, man. The people want it. The people want it. But you gotta speak Spanish, though. Sheridan, you see what he said, man. He ain't frowning, man. You gotta speak Spanish, though. El Crimson Blur. En fin. ¡Woo! ¡Qué buena entrevista, neta! Ok. Ahora, a ver. Ahí está. Vamos a poner un poco de música. Sí, vaya para ambientar. Estaba puesta, pero estaba un poco baja. Thanks everybody for watching. All the English viewers. I will switch to Spanish for the wrap up, but I really thank you. We're from Mexico. We do the GEMA. We organize tournaments. So we ran Smash Factor. We ran Thunderstruck, Capcom SNK, Capcom Pro Tour, Street Fighter, King of Fighters, whatnot. We've worked with Pokemon Company. We've done a lot of stuff. We've worked with Twitch. So definitely hit us up if you like the content. We'll be sharing more and more over the course of the years, over the course of the months, over the course of the weeks and whatnot. We did a lot of interviews with community people, with TOs, with players. We've had Rena on. We've had a lot of people on. So really thanks a lot. Mi español es muy bueno. Crimson Blur, I'm holding you to that, man. I'm holding you to that. You gotta come on the show, man, because that'll be lit. So yeah, thanks a lot, everybody, all the English viewers for watching. If you guys like the content, feel free to leave a follow, feel free to support. We just wanna make Mexico and Latin America grow bigger. So yeah, we really appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay, now with that said, I'll switch to Spanish for the wrap up. Muchas gracias a todos por ver. Espero les haya gustado. Estuvo muy bueno este stream. Vaya, pudimos obtener genial información de Sheridan, uno de los mejores tíos aquí de Smash. Vaya, la cabecilla de Hennessys, un gran vato y tiene muy buen español. Mucho respeto a la banda que se rifa para tirarse en español aquí. La banda se le aprecia. Gracias por la emisión. De nada. Gracias a ti, Crimson Blur, por venir. Gracias. Gracias a Sheridan, gracias a Crimson Blood, a Link, a The Tragedy, Hugh Gaddis, todos que vinieron, se les agradece. We really thank you for your time, we really thank you for your viewership. Gracias por ver. Si quieren apoyar, ya saben que ahí está el follow. Ya saben que pueden suscribirse. Tenemos muchas cosas. Recuerden nuestros emotes. Ya saben, nuestros emotes ahí están. Con toda la crema. Con todo el Oliver. Con todo el Oliver. Con todo el Oliver. Todos. Ahí están los emotes. Gracias por ver, banda. Ahí está Summit, ya algunos murieron. Quiero hacer un minuto de silencio, banda, porque lamentablemente Non, nuestro querido compañero latinoamericano, ha caído en Summit, lamentablemente. Pero no podemos dejar que esto pase así, o sea, es lamentable que Non haya caído, chicos. Pero todavía tenemos a alguien en la contienda, todavía está el Trifacia vivo. Y hispanohablante, banda, hay que apoyar el español. Así como Sheridan habló ahorita español, así Trifacia va a hablar español en el Summit. Así que pues hay que apoyarlo, a que vaya. Definitivamente vamos a estar apoyando a mucha gente de aquí en el stream, así que estén pendientes porque también vamos a hacer actividades respecto a ello. Gracias a todos por ver, esto ha sido nuestra entrevista y también solo quiero mencionar que está confirmado, el 2D es vida, el 2D es moralmente superior, así que nada más quiero decirles que vaya, miss me with that 3D bullshit, man. Ok, banda, pues a ver, algo más, si tienen preguntas, comentarios, es el momento. If there are any leftover English viewers that may have any questions or comments, now is the time because we're wrapping this up. Feel free to expect this in YouTube in the future, so yeah. Banda, todos que quisieron ver esto, que llegaron tarde, yo sé que no es nuestro horario habitual, pero pues hay que acomodarnos para el buen Sheridan, para la gente que está ocupada en el mundo de los esports, que no puede disponer su tiempo para un podcast así, entero random de la Ciudad de México. Así que no se preocupen, va a estar en YouTube, van a poder checar ahí. Y si quieren apoyar, pues ahí también pueden suscribirse en YouTube o pueden suscribirse por acá. Todavía septiembre no acaba y todavía pueden entrar a mi Miris. ¿Por qué estamos en la página de Sonic en Smash GG si podríamos estar en la página de mi Miris? Que es Smash GG, diagonal, mi Miris, como se les pone aquí en mis amigos en el chat. Smash GG Miris, nuestro torneo, ya saben, de la GEMA en Veracruz, final de diciembre. Nada más para que sepan por ahí, vaya, para que la banda esté enterada. Y aquí está la info para que lo sepan. Por el mes de septiembre, suscríbete a Twitch La Gema y obtienes 50% de descuento en tu suscripción. O sea, como 50 pesos, son 46 de hecho, la cifra exacta si quieren saber. Garantizando tu entrada a abril 2017 con beneficios especiales. O sea, tienes entrada, tienes el venue y ya con eso, bro. O sea, ¿qué más quieres, man? ¿Qué más quieres, bro? Ahí está, tío. Pero bueno, ahí lo tienen, banda, muchas gracias por ver. Estuvo muy bueno el podcast de hoy. Vaya, definitivamente valió la pena los episodios de Feeder de esta semana, ¿no? O sea, vaya, si los quieren ver, también está en nuestro YouTube, 75 a 77. Un poquito de Feeder, pero también muy interesante. Vaya, estábamos viendo si podíamos obtener un poco de acción con el Feeder de Melle. Entrevistamos a Spawn de Perú, que cumplió años. Hicimos plática de EGS, muchas cosas esta semana. Y qué buena forma de cerrarlo hoy con el podcast entrevistando a Sheridan. Esperen más entrevistas próximamente, más contenido, más magia, más crema. Gracias por ver, yo soy Pablo y nos vemos en la próxima. Les doy un beso ahí en los recodinos. Y pues vaya, gracias por ver, se les agradece bastante, banda. Saludos. A rato de regreso, chance, quién sabe. No sé si quiera jugar Pokémon hoy, no sé si pueda. Tengo cosas que hacer, pero ahí nos vemos, banda. Gracias por ver.